In this tutorial, I am going to show you how to easily blend a background onto another background. So I've opened up two images in Photoshop. So I've got my image here of this lovely girl, and then I also have an image of this digital background. So I want to use that digital background and bring it into the background of this image. So a really simple way that you can do that is just to take the digital background and drag it down. Then go ahead and select the Move tool, and then just drag and drop your background onto your image. Okay, so now we have the digital background overlaid on the top of the image. What you can now do is select different blending modes depending on the desired look that you want for your image. So I usually go between normal, soft light and overlay. Soft light and overlay will be a more minimal effect and won't be quite as strong, but both work so lovely, especially when it comes to blending darker backgrounds onto fine art portraits. For this one, I'm going to select normal overlay so that I can see a little bit more of the flowers. I'm going to reduce the opacity to around about 40% just now. And then I'm just going to start to mask off by creating a layer mask. So I've got a white layer, therefore I need a black brush. I always set my opacity at 100% and I work with flow. So I'm going to set flow about halfway just now and start to mask it off of her. So I'm going around all the centre of the image here, making sure that I get all of this digital background off of her. When you work with a lower flow, you've got a little bit more leeway and it's just a little bit easier to blend. So getting some of the hair here. I can see on this cape that I can, because it's transparent, I can see some of that background behind there, which I love. So I'm just going to leave that on there. Same on the other side. And again, just working at making sure I got it all off of her face and starting to go around the edges of her hair now to mask it off of there as well. When you're doing this, make sure that you reduce the size of your brush. You can do so using the bracket keys on your keypad. And just clicking on and off to see how much you've still to go, or reducing the opacity even further whilst you're doing this part to make the job easier. Because this is a painterly style portrait, I'm not overly concerned about some of it still being around the edges of her hair and clothing. As long as it blends nicely, that's perfectly fine. And again, just varying the size of your brush, going over all the areas again where you want to make sure that you have got it 100% masked off of your subject. Zooming in so that you can have a really good close look at it. And then reducing your flow again when it comes to going around the edges of the hair. It's just going to make the job a whole lot easier for you. I always work with flow when it comes to blending and masking digital backgrounds. We're just going around the edges of her hair again. Making sure that I've got everything off of there that I want, and now I can increase the opacity again to see where I'm at. I can see around these edges at the top here around her hairline that I have gone a little bit too far. So using the X key, I'm switching to a white brush and I'm just going to go back over those areas where I have taken it off too much. Reducing the flow even further, just to help me and make it a little bit easier. Having a look at her before and after. It's probably a little bit too strong, so I'm actually going to go ahead and reduce the opacity of this background. I think that looks better. Again, this is all going to be personal preference and depending on the image that you're working on. It will depend how strong you want it to be. Again, I'm just at a really low flow, just going back over everything again, taking my time and making sure I've got it off of everywhere that I want to get it off. Again, because this is a painterly style portrait, you can really get away with leaving little bits of this background around your subject. So we can have a look again at the soft light and the overlay. Soft light's actually quite nice as well. Not as dramatic, but that's because I've got a really dark background to begin with. If my background was lighter, we would be able to see it better using the soft light blending modes. So again, you'll just have to play around with them and see which one is going to suit your portrait best. But for this one, I like it on normal. I'm going to take it down a little bit further actually. I think it's maybe still a little bit too strong. Yeah, that looks good to me. I hope that you found this tutorial useful, and thanks for watching.